to sign an increase in the debt ceiling, then the borrowing stops. And if they can't borrow
and no more bailouts, and no more bailouts. I mean, you pledge no more bailouts.
No more bailouts either. There's no more any. If right now the government is borrowing 60 cents, it collects $1 in taxes, it spends $1.60. So 60 cents of every $1.60 is borrowed. So if I can stop them from raising the debt ceiling, they can't spend that 60 cents.
All right, got to jam in another call. Ian in England, you're on the air with Peter Schiff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Alex. Good to speak to you, and Mr. Schiff. One of the things, I was going to broaden it out more regarding the dollar, obviously being the international monetary system, and what influence do you think that there's going to be with regards to that? Because it took 2 world wars to break Britain from as being the international reserve currency.
Yeah, that's a good question. What happens when we lose the dollar as the world reserve currency?
Oh, I mean, it's not a question of can we, it's just when we. And, will it happen next year and 2 years from now? It's going to happen. I mean, we became the world's reserve currency because the dollar was backed by gold, because we were the world's biggest creditor nation. We had the least amount of government regulations and the lowest taxes. We were flooding the world with investment capital and manufactured goods. I mean, we have nothing in common with the America that was able to secure the dollar as the world's reserve currency. We're now the world's biggest debtor. We have huge trade deficits, current account deficits. We have no domestic.
So he's saying, how do you see it dying?
It's going to die because the world central bank stops supporting it. I mean, they won't buy our debt anymore. It's coming. We are living in the final days of the dollar's reserve currency. As I said, I don't know how many days.
Stay there, Peter. Final segment with Peter Schiff. More calls straight ahead.
So you think the massive Gulf oil leak won't affect the air you breathe? Think again. Benzene, a toxic gas emitted from crude oil and a known carcinogen, is now airborne, traveling hundreds, even thousands of miles inland. Whether you live near the Gulf or not, benzene and other volatile organic compounds could cause adverse reactions to those living inside your home. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, came to airfiltersandpurifiers.com for answers on how to clean the air on boats aiding in the Gulf cleanup. Do what NOAA did. Contact airfiltersandpurifiers.com and ask about the HealthMate Plus. The HealthMate Plus is capable of trapping 99.97% of all polluting particulates. Buy the HealthMate Plus today with no tax, free shipping, a 5-year warranty, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to airfiltersandpurifiers.com. GCN listeners get a 5% discount by using promo code GCN. Call 800-499-2418 or go to airfiltersandpurifiers.com, your trusted advisor for clean air.
You may be arrested and/or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on Earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Hounded by debt collectors with phone calls and letters? Thinking of calling a debt relief company? Don't. Greedy lawyers and debt companies charge thousands. Why pay when you can get their solution absolutely free with New York Times best-selling author Herb Kay's #1 debt secret? The how-to on stopping the calls without paying the debt companies. Yes, free for a very limited time. Here's Herb Kay.
Don't get ripped off by credit repair companies when I can give you the information you need to do it yourself for free.
Herb Kay was right. His free information helped me stop the calls and settle my debt.
What do you have to lose? Stop the calls now. Get out of debt and have more money. Get Herb Kay's #1 debt secret absolutely free now. Call 800-405-7850. That's 800-405-7850. 800-405-7850.
Okay, I'm going to throw out 4 or 5 questions with one-line answers. Then we're going to take a few final calls with Peter Schiff. Coming up in the next hour, I'm going to get into all the military takeover drills, Marines on the streets of L.A. This is mainstream news, MSNBC. That's coming up in the next hour. But right now, going back to Peter Schiff. Peter, where do you stand on the borders and on Arizona?
Well, I think protecting the borders is one of the few things the federal government should be doing, and it's not doing it because it's doing so many things that it shouldn't be doing. So I do want to crack down on illegal immigration, but I want to make it easier for people who want to work to immigrate into the country. But, I'm more concerned about emigration. I think if we don't do the right thing, waves and waves of Americans are going to be fleeing the country to escape oppressive taxation, regulation, and inflation. And I want to make sure that young Americans stay here and don't leave the country.
Well, Mexico needs to fix its house instead of letting their whole system collapse into the United States. I mean, this is ridiculous. The Second Amendment, where do you stand on that?
I stand right behind it. And, it's not about hunting and it's not about a militia. It's about preserving liberty, keeping the government in check. Americans need to be armed to preserve liberty and, of course, for crime. I mean, if you have gun control, all you do is take the guns away from law-abiding citizens and you empower the criminals because they know their victims are defenseless. Schiff4senate.com. Our websites are Infowars.com. Don't forget the new film, Don't Tread on Me, Rise of the Republic, that has solutions to take our states and county sheriffs back with myself, Sheriff Mack, and many others, available at Infowars.com. And your purchase of the films also finances this entire operation. Let's take a few final calls for Peter Schiff with quick questions and quick answers. Chris in Colorado wants to know your take on America's situation. I think we already kind of covered that, but real fast. Question, Chris.
Hey, quick question. If you had 15 seconds to address Americans to capture their attention, what would you do?
I thought we stop the spending. We can't stimulate the economy until we shrink the government. We got to preserve the Constitution, restore freedom, restore liberty, embrace the principles that made us wealthy. Don't follow the principles that impoverished other nations.
Let's go ahead. Thank you, caller. Let's go ahead and talk to Jim in Illinois. He has a question about mortgages. Go ahead, Jim.
Yes, Peter.
Yes.
I'm sick of the old battle cry of people that got mortgages they couldn't afford. I was able to afford mine. That was 10 years ago. My income has been cut in half. I'm self-employed. I don't get unemployment insurance. That's a big niche you haven't addressed. I haven't heard anyone address. What am I supposed to do?
About what?
Where do I turn?
Well, we're not saying you deserve to lose your mortgage. I mean, there's too many taxes.
First of all, we got to get the government out of the mortgage business. People should not be buying houses that they can't afford. And if you need a government to guarantee the mortgage, then you can't afford that house. If you don't have a 20% down payment, you can't afford that house. We need to have a free market in housing.
Well, government money in housing, Peter, as you know, is what drove up prices.
Yes, I know. We got to get the government out of that. We need no more subsidies. We have to have a free market in housing. And, of course, it's going to mean lower housing prices, which is going to benefit people who want to buy houses because they'll be a lot less expensive.
Yeah, Jim, the answer is if they wouldn't have put these trillions of dollars into government money, you wouldn't have had all the flipping of houses, and your house wouldn't be too expensive. I appreciate your call. Matthew in Canada, last caller. Quick question for Peter Schiff.
Yes, hello, Mr. Schiff. My question is, I'm a Canadian citizen, and I was just wondering, how do you see the state of the Canadian economy given the fact that the American economy is going down the drain?
I think it's much better. I've invested quite a bit of money in Canadian securities. I think Canada kind of got its fiscal house in order over a decade ago when they were having some problems. It's not a paradise up there in Canada, but compared to us, they are. And I think, we're having problems with immigration from south of our border. Pretty soon the Canadians are going to have the same problem with Americans. But I think that they will embrace us. I think as American refugees flee America for, freer planes up in Canada, I think they will welcome Americans. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of Americans are going to find, Canada to be their home. I mean, it's a little colder up there.
Yeah, we're out of time. Canada is rated #1 in the world right now for economies, but that doesn't mean much when it's a worldwide depression. Peter Schiff, I appreciate you joining us. We'll talk to you again right ahead of the election coming up in August.
And don't forget, Schiff4senate.com.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Be sure to visit GCNlive.com today.
The question is, where should the American people draw their line in the sand?
What have we got? A republic or a monarchy?
A republic is based on a constitution which protects minority rights.
Not democracy, not mob rule, two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner.
So they think they own our land, they think they own our water, children, our education, our money.
We have to define who we are and what we will tolerate.
Somebody's going to ask you what you did during the Patriot Uprising.
You have been warned.
We have the facts. We have the Constitution. We have the Bill of Rights. We have common law. Knowledge is power, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm so excited to be able to offer you Don't Tread on Me, Rise of the Republic. Tyranny is upon us, but liberty and the sleeping giant